Hello, everybody, to another episode of a weekly patch notes. We welcome you to episode 33. I'm your host, Max, and with me this week, I have Kid Kojo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Tommy sends his regards. He's away on a vacation, I believe it is, but he will be back with us again next week. For now, we'll be the ones handling everything. Thanks for your support. Like, subscribe, and engage with us on this week's episode. Without any delays, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So, beginning with admin and announcements. Kojo, do you have anything you would like to share?
Yes, I just have a few corrections to make from things I said last episode.
All right, go ahead.
The first thing I said was during the discussion period when we're talking about number scores and review scores, I brought up a case of, what I said was there was a journalist over at IGN who reviewed Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, played half of all the 3 games and then put up his review. I misspoke. It wasn't IGN. I apologize for that. It was someone over at GameSpot called Peter Brown.
Look at you taking responsibility.
Yes, unlike some people, I like to correct myself and put my hand up and say I was wrong. So.
Yeah, well, I look at the gravity of a situation. I feel like that was a small boo-boo, but yes, you were quoting him.
Yes, so this is what it says in the review. It says here, Peter stayed current with the new Crash games during the PlayStation's lifespan. Playing the Insane Trilogy marks the first time he's revisited the series in almost 20 years, and he played roughly halfway through each game in the collection. So reading that, it pretty much says that he played through half of each of the game and then put up his review, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't an idiot. Like, that's literally what he did. So my point still stands. Again, apologies to IGN. It wasn't IGN, it was GameSpot. And the second thing I want to correct is that when I was speaking about the esports section about the ALGS, I said that the total prize pool was $2 million, which is true. But then I did say that first place will be taken on $1 million, which was not true. Another mistake I made, I apologize. First place is actually taking home $600,000. And I'll speak more about that in the esports section. So yes, that's my admin done.
All right, cool. On my side for admin, I just want to mention to people that the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup has started. So if some of you all are rugby fans, I hope you all are enjoying that. Me personally, I'm not that big on rugby, but I do enjoy my sports. So here and there, I'm aware of things. I'm also aware that the US Open just happened. Congratulations to, I may butcher her name, but Coco Gauff. I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, but she won the women's US Open. And when it comes to the men, I have not updated myself that at the time of recording, they might have not even started playing. I would have to go and check. But that's it from the admin and announcement sections. Getting into the gaming news now. So, the gaming news this week, it has been a slow week. I personally have not found any piece of news or content that I feel is newsworthy enough. I have been finding tidbits, but I'm keeping those for the News Blitz section. So basically, I don't have anything to share newsworthy for the gaming news segment. Kojo, do you have anything that you found and felt is newsworthy?
Not this week, no.
All right, so it has been a pretty dry week, right?
Yep.
Cool. I just don't want people to think, man, this guy's lazy. Cool. Even though I am lazy. Going into the gaming corner, Kojo, please take it away.
Okay, let's talk about the releases of the week. So, first up, we have a game called Chants of Sennaar, released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, released on September 5th, 2023. We have Rune Factory 3 Special, released on the Switch on September 5th, 2023. We have Baldur's Gate 3 making its appearance on the PlayStation 5, released on September 6th, 2023. And we have one of the big ones of the year, one of the big ones of the past few years, one of the most highly anticipated games in recent memory. It is Bethesda's brand new universe, brand new IP in over 25 years. I am, of course, talking about Starfield. Released on Xbox Series and PC on September 6, 2023, currently sitting at an 87 on Metacritic. Next up, we have a game that will interest you, Maxwell. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis.
No, don't say it interests me.
Released on iOS and Android on September 7th, 2023.
And that's exactly why.
Man, stop hating. Mobile gaming is the future. We have King's Bounty 2, released on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, released on September 7th, 2023. We have Fae Farm, released on Switch and PC on September 8th, 2023. We have NBA 2K24, released on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, released on September 8th, 2023. And finally, we have Synced, released on PC, released on September 8th, 2023. And that is it for the releases. And that is it for the gaming corner.
You know what I find interesting? There hasn't been much fanfare with regards to Baldur's Gate 3 on PS5. Like, I know Digital Foundry did a deep dive into the game where they're saying that the optimization is to the quality of PC standards. They were saying that the optimization is so well done that they are pretty shocked by it. But otherwise from that, I don't feel like anybody's really been talking about Baldur's Gate 3. I understand it already came out for PC, so that obviously took out some of the steam from it. But I would have figured that, with Starfield releasing, PlayStation players feeling left out, they would be yammering on about Baldur's Gate, but absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Digital Foundry, I should also mention that they released a statement with regards to, you remember was it last week? Yeah, what must have been last week or the week previous, where I was talking about when Starfield reviews, when those were coming out, there were people, EuroGamer specifically, was talking about how they didn't get a review copy early on, and Digital Foundry, their sister site, got one, and Ladidani was making a whole kerfuffle, right?
Yes.
Well, Digital Foundry released a statement clarifying the situation, saying that although what EuroGamer said is true, firstly, they're not associated to EuroGamer in that way, that they're not under EuroGamer. They're their separate own entity and function separately. So they applied for a review copy individually, not under EuroGamer. So it wasn't a thing of Microsoft or Bethesda received EuroGamer's thing and then let's give it a Digital Foundry and let's ignore EuroGamer. No, they applied separately, and then they also went to highlight that they belong to a different division section, being I believe in North America as opposed to Europe. So their requirements and what they go through to get a review copy is drastically different to what EuroGamer would have had to go through. So they wanted to make it clear that it was sort of trying to, disassociate their name from that entire drama.
Right.
But yeah, otherwise, in gaming news, I don't have any news to speak of. Not that anything comes to mind particularly. And so for those listening, we hit the middle point. If you're still around, like and subscribe and follow so that we can get the show to more people. I'm your host for this week, Max, and with me I have Kojo. So let's keep the conversation going. So, Twitch, YouTuber, content creator news. Anything happening of interest?
Nothing that caught my eye. Maybe Tammy would have seen something else, but I wasn't really going to mention this because I didn't mention it before it happened, but I guess I will mention it now. So, A big event took place on the 9th of September 2023. It was the Sidemen charity match, Sidemen versus the YouTube All-Stars. It was a fundraiser charity match that they'll host every year. They raised over, I think, 2.5 million pounds for charity, and over 2 million people were watching concurrently on the official live stream, and other people were re-streaming, and like other people were reacting and react streaming it as well. So a lot of people were watching it, myself included. It was a fun match. The Sidemen took it again. The Sidemen beat the YouTube All-Stars 8-5. It was some of the players. I'm not going to run through all of them, but some of the players on the YouTube All-Stars side, including Jacksepticeye, Twitch streamer XQC, who was in goals, who his performance is questionable, but hey, at least he showed up. Last minutes, I believe he was like one of the last minute replacements. So he stepped up and he pulled through. We have Chunks, Philly, Gideon. We have Kai Cenat and Speed making his return. Speed was a fan favorite from last year, so people really wanted to see him again. So those are some of the people on the YouTube All-Stars side. The Sidemen side, we have the 7 Sidemen: your KSI, Toby, Simon, Ethan, Harry, Vic, Josh. Those are the 7 off the top of my head. And then you have Manny, who is Toby's brother. Manny scored a hat trick. Obviously, Manny's a beast. Manny's a football player. Like I was telling my brother that the Sidemen team is a cheat. It's such a cheat because you have Simon, Manny, and Toby, and those 3 literally carry the team. Like the other players are there are brilliant. Obviously, Laser Beam
can jam.
No, Chunks is brilliant. Chunks is very good. But I'm saying if you compare the 2 teams, the Sidemen team is just much better, unfortunately. Like Chunks is brilliant, Philly is brilliant on the YouTube All-Star side, but just putting Toby, Manny, and Simon on one team is just a cheat. It's just such a cheat. It really is. But on that side, you also have Laserbeam, Mr. Beast, Deji, who's actually on the Sidemen side this time and not on the YouTube All-Star side this time. Yeah, KSI was in goals, not a midfielder like he was usually because he has his upcoming fights, so he didn't want to, overexert himself or injure himself, so he figured he'd be in goals. He was a good goalie, but he did let in an own goal. Well, it wasn't an own goal. Well, it was an own goal. What happened was that he caught the ball and then he rolled the ball over into the goal, but he contested it. But it was, if you look back at the replay, it was a clear. He rolled the ball over the line. So it was funny. It was a funny match. It was hilarious. It was fun. It was a good time. The highlights, you can watch the highlights on YouTube on the official Sidemen channel, or you can watch the full thing. It's up to you. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my YouTube content creator news. I think there really wasn't much. Well, not that I noticed, but just that I guess because a bunch of content creators were at this event. So
some people paused their stuff for this.
Yeah, a lot of people, took time off to come, like, people like XQC coming from North America, Kai, obviously, all this, Laserbeam coming from freaking Australia. A lot of people made their way to the UK. And it was a sold out crowd, I believe. I believe they sold out the tickets.
Yes, I believe that is correct. And then also amongst the donations, I suppose it's fair game to mention that KSI and Logan Paul as Prime donated the largest amount with £250,000 donation.
Yep.
I suppose
they did.
Logan Paul really needs to work. He needs to work on his public image, so he needs to do any good thing available to him to get that, scammer, grifter image away from him.
Yeah, he does. But I actually also saw that list. Rapper JME, who played on the Sidemen side, he also was one of the top donators. Miskiff, who is a Twitch streamer, who also he watch partied the match. He also donated. He was also top 10 or one of the top 10 highest donating people there. So a lot of people did. A lot of content creators themselves also pulled through, put some money in. It was a good event. Again, it's for charity. It's fun. It's all jokes. It's at the end of the day, it's for a good cause. So it was a good event. But yeah, that's it for me.
It's a shame Logan Paul can put in money for such things, but he can't pay back the people he scammed. Anyway, moving on, since I don't have any content creator news to share, we go into the domain of esports, where obviously I'm not going to have anything to share on this matter. But Kojo, are you aware of anything that happened, or do you want to expand on what you said at the admin and announcement section?
Yes. So I spoke about how I got the ALGS prize money wrong. Well, the ALGS championships took place from September the 6th to September the 10th. And as of the time of recording, it just wrapped up like an hour or two ago, as of the time of recording. So I'm still fresh off of watching it. It started off, well, I said September the 6th, yes. So it was 5 days. 5 days of nonstop ALGS is Apex Legends Global Series. So nonstop Apex Legends action. The top 40 teams from across the world, North America, South America, EMEA, APAC North and APAC South, all came to Birmingham to perform. And from those 40 teams, 20 teams went on to the finals, which were held on the 10th, Sunday the 10th of September. And one team walked away winning, and that team happened to be a team called TSM. Now, we've spoken about TSM before, months ago, because in the Split 1 playoffs that happened in February, they won the Split 1 playoffs. Split 2 playoffs that happened in, I believe, was July. Dark Zero won that Split 2 playoffs. And moving into the championships, people are expecting either TSM or Dark Zero to, do something, or a new team. But I'm not going to talk about everything because a lot happened. But one of the biggest surprises is that Dark Zero, who have won the championship before, they won the championship last year, and they won the Split 2 playoffs a few months ago, they didn't make it to the finals, which was a huge shock to everybody. They themselves were shocked. Everybody was shocked. It was shocking. But TSM were not performing the best this tournament. They had some, like, people joke TSM plot armor, the ALGS script writers are working overtime, but I'm not going to lie. Some of the things that they did, I was like, someone is writing something behind the scenes here, because TSM almost missed out on making to the winners brackets, but they had one banger last game in the winners bracket. No, sorry, what did I say? Oh yeah, sorry. They almost didn't make it to the finals. But in the winners bracket, they had one last game, and then they managed to put themselves into the winners bracket, into the finals. Sorry if I'm jumping all over my mind. Again, it just happened. So moving on to the finals, people expected a lot of teams to, like Alliance, to do well, but Alliance were not performing at all. They didn't perform well this tournament. They started off with a sub called Mandy because their main player Effect didn't get a visa in time. However, he did get a visa on day one he got his visa on day one of the event, which was on the 6th. So
got a visa. Where is he coming from?
He is Russian, I believe.
That explains a lot.
So but the thing is, he was present for the Split 2, but I think EA and just a bunch of things just went wrong. So he wasn't able to get his visa to be there from the beginning. So he missed out on the first day, but he was literally there the second day. And we all thought that, okay, Alliance will do well now. Even though that they won a match, Alliance won a match that first day with their sub, they didn't do well. They floundered. even with effect coming back, they floundered here and there. They didn't perform well in the finals. They finished in the bottom half of the table at the end of the whole championship. It was shocking. But we had teams like Dreamfire and Blackhand and Optic who really, really, really did the most in this tournament. They were brilliant. And then you had a new team called Dojo, who is headed up by this content creator called It's Timmy. A lot of people didn't really expect much from them because they came from last chance qualifiers, but they finished 4th overall, which is incredible for a team that is, content creator led by, captained by a content creator, whereas all of these other people are professional players. A lot of people didn't expect much from them, but they beat out teams like Moist, beat out teams like Alliance, beat out teams like Dark Zero, who didn't even make it to the finals. So they take home $170,000, the Dojo, that is. And now let me just talk about the winners, TSM. They take home $600,000. Imperial Hal, the IGL, also known as the captain or in-game leader, he also won Best MVP. And Verhulst, who is another player on the team, won the most positive player. So that is it pretty much from the ALGS. Again, there was a lot that happened, a lot more plot twists, side stories, side quests, a lot of things that happened, a lot of teams that deserve honorable mentions, a lot of moments that were just incredible. But I urge people to go watch the highlights. There are going to be videos and channels dissecting the tournament over the coming weeks. So I urge people to watch out for those videos or to just go watch the VODs if they are so inclined. Me playing Apex is up and down. When it comes to watching professional Apex, I will be there because I think it's fun to watch and also to learn and pick up a few things, a few new tricks and tips and things like that. And it's always fun to just watch a game that you are interested in being played at a high level. It's interesting. It's interesting, at least to me. So yeah, that is it for the ALGS. Just to recap again, TSM takes home first place. Optic Gaming takes home second place with $320,000. Blackhand takes home third place with $210,000. The Dojo, as mentioned before, take home $170,000. And in fifth place, Logic Chivas from Mexico taking home $130,000. And that is it for my esports news.
These teams have how many people in them?
3 each, and then a coach.
So what if, like, they need a substitute? Like you mentioned, there was the other team where the player couldn't come in, so they had somebody else substitute.
There's always a substitute. It's actually funny how it works. There's a substitute. There's always there are substitutes. Some teams have substitutes. Don't, from what I've seen. Sometimes the coach will actually step in and be a sub. That is possible. But what happened was that there was a case with a team called they weren't gelling with one of their team members, so they decided to play with us. And they wanted to bring him another sub, but EA and ALGS made up a rule. This is speculation, but apparently you can't just make up a sub anytime you want to. Apparently it has to be emergency. So they didn't let that sub go through. So Aurora had to play as a 2-man instead of a 3-man. So they were at a disadvantage, which is a very interesting scenario that happened. I don't know why that happened.
I don't know why EA doesn't just set the rule that every team is allowed a maximum of 2 substitutes.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know either because yeah.
I ask all that because I'm thinking, okay, once you win, like let's say you get first place, you're getting that $600,000 prize money. How many people is that splitting into? Because I was thinking of, okay, you're gonna have the players, and now you've mentioned the coach, so that's already 4 people off the bat. And then also it has to bleed back into the team, unless you're telling me being sponsored means none of the prize money bleeds back into the team. It all goes into your pocket. I don't know what the arrangements are. Because I was also thinking, like, with substitutes, what would their contracts or their agreement be? That they only get to see a bit of a prize money if they played and were called upon, or do they have like a fixed amount as subs, and then if they get called upon, depending on how many minutes or hours they played, they qualify for even more from the winning? And then also, what about teams who have maybe certain setups like I don't know how it's done in esports. I don't know how fancy it is, but in other sports, you would come in with your crew of your backroom staff who make sure you're all sorted out, your catering and stuff like that. Obviously, since it's esport, I don't think it goes that far to the point that there are teams who have personal caterers and stuff like that. But I would imagine there should be some sort of backroom staff. You're not just coming there, the players and the coach. I would imagine there should be 1 or 2 or 3 other people who have other roles, which varies from team to team, that has to be taken care of, and what are those people's arrangements, stuff like that. I think it would be interesting to look into how teams split up winnings and stuff like that, because just thinking about it, you cannot make a living riding off of tournament matches, because winning a tournament is not a guaranteed thing. So I assume that these teams, with their contracts with their sponsors, they're getting some type of stipend.
No, they do. Yeah, they do. Which is why esports, as people say, it bleeds money, because the orgs have to pay the players.
But then isn't all sports, technically you could argue all sports bleed money? It's just where esports differs from your regular sports is, like, if we use football as an example, soccer for the Americans out there, your club, like let's say Manchester United, is going to have sponsors who are pumping in, who are giving Manchester United money. But Manchester United is also going to make its own money from its performance and activities and stuff like that. And you would assume the sponsors, they are losing money by sponsoring these teams, but they make up their money from the advertisement they're getting with being associated to the team. Like, how Prime is going around sponsoring individuals, athletes. Prime is losing money by paying those athletes, but the association to those athletes, you would think, is generating some kind of revenue back into them.
Yeah, it's interesting with esports, because I think regular sports is more stable, whereas esports is volatile. That's why you see a lot of teams just coming and going. Like, you have the Guard who shut down operations, and you have FaZe Clan who are, just all over the place with their teams and stuff like that. It's an interesting thing, esports, to study, and which is why, like you were saying, making money from tournaments are, they are regular, but then it's volatile, because like I said, you might not win the tournament. You bottom 40 team, the bottom 20 teams that just went home, they don't get anything. So a lot of these players stream, they make content on the side, so that also gives them money. But it's, I don't know, it's an interesting thing to research more about how these things works, and also the things with the subs, because the way it's actually very interesting, especially when it comes to me just focusing on Apex, because the other games they each have their own way they handle things, from Rocket League to League of Legends, they're all different. So, but the way with Apex, it's very, very, it really is, because some teams don't have coaches. It's just the 3 players who just manage themselves. And
I would imagine that some teams with the coach is not necessarily there to manage the team or to coach the team per se, but is probably there to take care of admin, and that they probably have certain experience or connections that eases the process of joining tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah, true. That's true.
But all right. So, moving on to the discussion section, do you have anything that you would like to discuss or bring up?
No, nothing for me.
All right. For me, I have nothing as well for this week. We'll see what comes up next week. Then we close things up with the news blitz. So I want to start off by talking about, you remember the game Stray?
Yeah, of course. Game of the Year contender.
Yes, well, they have an animated film based on the game in the works.
Ooh, let's go.
No deadline as to when that will be coming, but how do I pronounce the studio's name? Annapurna. Yeah, Annapurna are looking. I don't know if they're the ones who are in charge of everything, or if they are going to do, like a Nintendo and get an established studio to work on it, and then they just oversee everything, like what happened with Mario. But I do hope this does well, because it might be a gateway into, we don't have to always have big dominant IPs being turned into movies, that even small indie type of hits can be turned into movies. Who knows? Maybe in the future we'll get a Hades movie or something like that. And then, if you have been planning on playing the viral Steam game, Only Up, but haven't yet gotten a chance to, well, your opportunity is now dead and gone, as the creator has removed the game, citing stress as a reason for the removal. This is echoes not Angry Bird, Flappy Bird. Because Only Up is I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a Chinese game, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, so the creator said that he never expected to deal with everything that came with creating that game. It's created a lot of stress and whatnot. So the game is being removed. And I find that interesting, that it seems to be an Asian thing, that you have a creator, somebody by themselves created a game, and then that game turns out not to be a blessing, but a curse to their life. And then they're just like, nah, no more of this. Then, in moving forward, we got news that a new Zelda game is already in development. And I find this interesting, because I don't know whether this new Zelda game is a whole complete reformatting, like how they do with Zelda. Whenever there's you get a new Zelda game, it has no association to previous games, like mechanics, gameplay, and things like that change per Zelda series. So I don't know if this is building off of Breath of the Wild and it's going to be within that world and universe, or if this is a new series for Zelda. Personally, I hope they stick to the Breath of the Wild universe, because that's the only time Zelda has personally been interested for me. All the other renditions or versions of Zelda, don't find them interesting. What would you say, Kojo?
A new Zelda game already? That's quick.
No, but keep in mind that developing it, so it might take them 5 years, might take them 6 years, might take them 3.
True. But yeah, it like you said, I have to see what it is. But so no word on if it's a sequel to.
Nothing. They just said, the only thing they said is a new Zelda game where they are working on new mechanics and stuff like that.
Oh, well, I just hope it runs well.
It will. Oh, you just reminded me, and we can add it to the news blitz. There are rumors that some journalists got to get a preview of a new and upcoming Switch.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's unclear how true this is, but it's running around saying they got to see a preview, that the new Switch is going to be a lot stronger, and that it's going to be I believe the specs were comparable to the Xbox One and the PS4, or was it to current gen? Because they did compare it to one of those two generations, saying the specs will be comparable to that it's much beefier than the current Switch. And that is scheduled to come next year. But we already knew a new Switch is coming next year, that people have been seeing parts of it. That's going to be interesting. Because apparently Breath of the Wild was ran, or was it Tears of the Kingdom? I don't know which of the Zelda it was, but one of them was ran on that Switch, and apparently the performance was night and day. So for those who've been clamoring that the next Switch needs to be a massive upgrade on specs, you're going to be getting that. Then, lastly, to close off the news blitz, earlier in the week, 9 inches of venom went viral. You heard of that, Kojo?
I did hear about that.
So for those of you who don't know what that means, basically, a tweet about buying a Venom figurine that's 19 inches long was posted by a PS UK account, and people went crazy over it, over the tweet, with even Dead Space and Konami getting in on the fun, and alternatively offering people a 6 inches of Isaac Clarke model or 11.6 inches of Pyramid Head model, respectively, for those apprehensive of Venom's weight, dimensions, and girth. And so that is it for this show. Thank you everybody for joining us this week. As we already said earlier, Thamziri wasn't able to join us this week and he'll be back next week. But otherwise, that's it from us at X to Skip. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow whatever is applicable to your platform. I suppose nowadays we're mostly on YouTube. But thanks, and see you again next week.